Hey there, welcome to Quiz Time. I'm your quiz master, Sean, and I've got 100 questions for you about the time period between 1946 and 1964. So let's see what we know, what we remember. Remember, this keeps our brains young. So let's do that together, shall we, and have a little bit of fun. Who starred in the 1963 film Cleopatra? Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, or John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara? And that starred Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Louis Jordan was he a basketball player? Was he a politician and senator? Or was he a saxophonist and band leader? He was a saxophonist and band leader. Jack LaLanne, the godfather of fitness, said he was a junk food junkie until he was 15 years old. Is that true or is that false? And that is true. Flash Gordon was made to compete with. Was he competing with Buck Rogers, DC Comics, or Jungle Jim? Flash Gordon was made to compete with Buck Rogers. Foley Manufacturing Company made kitchen items like flour sifters and food mills. Is that true or is that false? Foley Manufacturing. That's true. Walk, Don't Run from 1966 was which actor's last film? Cary Grant, James Cagney, or John Standing? And that was Cary Grant's last film. Which actress played the title character in the 1946 movie Gilda? Was it Marlene Dietrich, Rita Hayworth, or Dorothy Lamour? And that was Rita Hayworth. Bogart's film, The African Queen, was responsible for releasing ring-necked parakeets in London. Is that true or is that false? Well, that sounds strange. And it is. That's false. What coffee company's jingle was based on the song That Heavenly Feeling? Chuck Full o' Nuts, Folgers, or Maxwell House? And that was Chuck Full o' Nuts. Who is Jackie Robinson? Was he a child actor? Was he the first African American four-star general? Or was he the first African American to play in Major League Baseball? Jackie Robinson was the first African American to play in Major League Baseball. In the UK, many food items like sugar and meat were still being rationed in the early 1950s. Is that true or is that false? That's true. Tenzing Norgay made history in 1956 when he became the first person to reach Mount Everest peak. Is that fact or is that fiction? And that is fiction because it was 1953, not 1956. This Japanese film won a Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival for innovation. Was it Seven Samurai, Rashomon, or Yojimbo? Yojimbo. It was Rashomon. Kermit the Frog's first TV debut was in 1953, 1962, or 1955. Kermit the Frog's first TV debut was 1955. Which president had the I Like Ike campaign? Dwight D. Eisenhower, Harry S. Truman, or Franklin D. Roosevelt? I like Ike. Dwight D. Eisenhower was Ike. The Russian youth subculture who called themselves Stilyagi liked to wear, they were zoot suits, beetle boots, or creeper shoes. They wore creeper shoes. In the later 1950s, Irving Levine, the plastic housewares expert, said that pink and charcoal was going to new heights. Is that true, or is that false? And that's false. He said yellow was going to new heights and that pink and charcoal was very dead. In the 1960s, Caloric launched a pink range, a built-in wall oven, or the ad slogan, "Now you're cooking with gas." They launched the ad slogan, "Now you're cooking with gas." She's in the family way means she gets in the way of her family, she is pregnant, or she wants to get married. The phrase, "she's in the family way," that means she is pregnant. James Watson and Francis Crick uncovered Toland Man. Is that true, or is that false? Toland or Tolund, that's false. Watson and Crick uncovered the double helix in genetic coding. Teddy boys, a British youth subculture of the 1950s and 1960s, favored this car. The Ford Model T? Was it the Ford Zephyr, or was it the Ford Pilot? They preferred the Ford Zephyr. Who played Homer Smith in Lilies of the Field? Sidney Poitier, James Edwards, or Canada Lee? And that was Sidney Poitier. In 1950, Britain produced 75% of the world's cars. Is that true or is that false? 75% of the world's cars made in Britain. Well, let's see here. That's true. Which fast food restaurant opened in 1955? Burger King, McDonald's, or Jack in the Box? Opening in 1955. That was McDonald's. Ginger Rogers and Rita Hayworth shared an uncle. Is that true or is that false? What? They might be related? Well, let's see. That's true. Vinton Hayworth was Ginger Rogers' uncle through marriage and was the brother of Rita Hayworth's mother. Okay, I guess that counts. Bing Crosby co-owned the Pittsburgh Pirates. Is that true or is that nonsense? And that is true. Friskies first brought out their canned cat food in 1951. Is that true or is that false? And that just happens to be false. They brought out canned dog food in 1951. Whiskas was originally known as Calcan, Mighty Dog, or Nine Lives. Whiskas. That was originally known as Calcan. I remember that. True or false? In 1965, Libby Glassware brought out a line of glasses with designs from modern books on them. Is that true or is that false? That's false. The designs were from classics like Gulliver's Travels and Wizard of Oz. But if they did have them, I'd buy them. Pressure-treated wood wasn't developed until the 1960s. That's bogus, or is that true? Pressure-treated wood wasn't developed until the 60s. That is true. Malvina Reynolds' song, Little Boxes, makes fun of, does it make fun of apartment buildings, kit houses, or tract housing? It makes fun of tract housing. What game includes Molasses Swamp and Candy Hearts? Is it Candyland, Mystery Date, or Monopoly? And that game, of course, is Candyland. What broadcast journalist was known for this departing catchphrase? And that's the way it is. Robert Trout, Walter Cronkite, or Roger Mudd? And that's the way it is. May the 18th. That was Walter Cronkite. Which ingredients were not used to make traditional wheat beer? Yeast and lactobacillus, the bark of the sassafras tree, or the vine of the sarsaparilla? Which one was not used? Yeast and lactobacillus. Punchy and Oaf were the mascots for which drink? Kool-Aid, Hawaiian Punch, or Capri Sun? Oh yeah! That was Hawaiian Punch. In the 1960s, Dr. Pepper Company promoted hot Dr. Pepper with a slice of lemon. Is that true, or is that false? It sounds kind of silly, but that's true. It never took off, and Dr. Pepper abandoned the promotion in 1964, but I am going to try it. Conkers, a popular game in Britain, is that a board game, a form of mumbledy-peg, or a game where children dueled with horse chestnuts? Conkers, a game where children dueled with horse chestnuts. An anchor clanker is that a slow-moving person or vehicle? Is that a sailor? Or is that a heavy beer bread dessert? And that's a sailor. The Watusi was what? An American dance, a Japanese dessert, or a species of fish? The Watusi, that is an American dance. The original game that inspired Chutes and Ladders came from? Did it come from Europe, China, or India? Chutes and Ladders originally comes from India. The slogan, "Out of sight except at night," promoted a nightlight wall cavity, DeSoto airfoil lights, or Coleman's GI pocket stove. And that promoted DeSoto airfoil lights. Daisy, Dagwood, and Cookie are characters of what comic strip? Hopalong Cassidy, Beetle Bailey, or Blondie? And those are all characters in the comic strip Blondie. Crinolines and petticoat skirts were popular in the 1850s as well as the 1950s. Is that true, or is that false? That's true. The actor who played Colorado Ryan in John Wayne's film Rio Bravo would have been recognized by audiences as, was he a former baseball star, Billy Pratt from North to Alaska, or Ricky Nelson from The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet? That was Ricky Nelson from The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Who created Popeye the Sailor? Hank Ketchum, E.C. Seeger, or Bob Sagendorf? I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. That was created by E.C. Seeger. My apologies to your ears. Lindy Hop was an actress, a plane flown by Charles Lindbergh, or a dance originating in Harlem, New York? And that is a dance originating in Harlem, New York. Peg of My Heart was sung by Tony Bennett, Glenn Miller, or the Harmonicats? That was sung by the Harmonicats. Tokyo Boogie Woogie was sung by Shizuko Kasagi, Hideko Takamine, or Kenichi Enomoto? That song was sung by Shizuko Kasagi. The 1957 movie Desk Set is about computers first being used in an office, secretaries at a corporation, or people who work at an office supply store. That film is about computers first being used in an office. Walk Like a Man was originally recorded by, was that the Isley Brothers, Paul Revere and the Raiders, or the Four Seasons? Walk Like a Man was originally recorded by the Four Seasons. Alec Ramsey, Henry Daly, and Napoleon are characters from which series of books? The Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, or the Black Stallion? Those are all characters from the Black Stallion. Which comedic duo had a running gag of playing patty cake? Laurel and Hardy, Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, or George and Gracie? And that was by Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. Singer Corporation resumed developing sewing machines in 1946. Is that true or is that false? And that is true. During World War II, they took on a contract with the U.S. government to make weapons. Les Paul's prototype for a solid body electric guitar was called the Axe. Is that true or is that false? And that is false. The prototype was called the Log. Who wrote Johnny Be Good? Johnny Johnson, Chuck Berry, or Little Richard? And Johnny Be Good was written by Chuck Berry. In the beginning of her career, Myrna Loy was typecast in exotic roles, often as vamps. Is that true or is that false? That's true. Joyce Bryant was famous for her. Was she famous for long hair and sarong, her silver hair and mermaid dress, or her blonde hair and white dress? Joyce Bryant. She was famous for her silver hair and mermaid dress. During World War II, Julia Child helped in the attempt to create K rations that would keep a man full for a whole day, medicine with a more appealing taste, or shark repellent. Julia Child helped with shark repellent. Who won the Major League Baseball Triple Crown in 1956? Mickey Mantle, Rogers Hornsby, or Ted Williams? In 56, the Triple Crown was won by Mickey Mantle. When did Hawaii become a U.S. state? 1956, 1940, or 1959? Hawaii became a U.S. state in 1959. Who played Hercules in the 1958 Italian film? Christopher Reeves, Steve Reeves, or Fabrizio Mioni? In the 58 Italian film, it was Steve Reeves. Baked Alaska is also known as a Norwegian omelet, a frozen Florida, or a Siberian sundae. A baked Alaska is also known as a Norwegian omelet. Humphrey Bogart's mother, Maud Humphrey, used her son's image for an ad for Mellon's baby food. Is that true or is that false? That's true. This band achieved their first hit with the song Love Me Do. The Beatles, The Who, or was that the Rolling Stones? Love Me Do. That was the Beatles. I'm going to crash at my friend's house. What am I going to do? I'm going to run my car into my friend's house. I'm going to gate crash my friend's party, or I'm going to stay at my friend's house. That means I'm going to stay at my friend's house. Which bird was a popular pet in the 1940s and 1950s? Was it the macaw? Was it the budgerigar? Or was it the cockatiel? Budgerigar, I think. It was the budgerigar. Budgerigar. I wasn't around. The Emily organ was a toy organ that a child could learn on. Is that true or is that false? The Emily organ. That is true. In 1947, a half-acre fish pond could be built for approximately $25. Is that true or is that false? And that is true. Leopard fur coats were popular in the late 1960s. Is that true or is that false? Leopard fur coats. That is false. The leopard fur craze came to a halt by the late 60s with the beginnings of the anti-fur movement. Wilmington, Ohio is viewed as the birthplace of the banana split. Is that true or is that false? Wilmington, Ohio. Birthplace of the banana split? That's false. Latrobe, Pennsylvania has been certified by the National Ice Cream Retailers Association as the birthplace of the banana split. Now you know. In the 1961 film 1, 2, 3, James Cagney's character worked for what soft drink company? Pepsi, Coca-Cola, or Fanta? In the film 1, 2, 3. Coca-Cola. The first portable radios became available for the public in 1958 thanks to this company. Was it Radio Shack? Was it Napa Auto Parts? Or was it Raytheon? And that was Raytheon. Disneyland's Mad Tea Party ride was one of the opening day attractions in 1955, 1943, or was it 1962? and that year was 1955. Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn popularized this style of eyeglasses. Was it the aviator? Was it round eyeglasses? Or was it the cat eye eyeglasses? They popularized the cat eye eyeglasses. What was a popular flower for brides in the 1950s? Was it roses, gardenias, or lilies? The popular flower for brides was gardenias. Dorothy Kilgallen was a frequent panelist on, was it What's My Crime, What's My Line, or To Tell the Truth? And she was frequently a guest on What's My Line? The Ed Sullivan Show was first titled Sullivan's Toast. Is that true or is that false? And that is false. It was first titled Toast of the Town. Who played Miss Marple in the 1961 film Murder, She Said? Margaret Rutherford, Anne Gingold, or Angela Lansbury? And that was Margaret Rutherford. Murder, she said. The Cuban Missile Crisis is known as the Caribbean Crisis in Cuba. Is that true or is that false? And that's a little bit of falsehood. The Cubans called it the October Crisis. What was one of the most popular wedding songs in 1960? Was it the Wedding March? Was it Can't Help Falling in Love? Or was it At Last? It was At Last. Choo Choo Charlie appeared in Good and Plenty's TV commercials around 1950. Is that true or is that false? And that is true. Who sang Hey Good Lookin'? Rufus Payne, Gene Autry, or Hank Williams? Hey, good looking. What you got cooking? That was Hank Williams. What occurred in 1946 and helped popularize outdoor tanning? The beach culture boom, the invention of pool floats, or the arrival of the bikini? It was the arrival of the bikini. Just a little dab will do ya. Was the jingle for? Was it petroleum jelly, Madam Walker, or Brill Cream? That's the slogan for Brill Cream. What was the best-selling shoe polish in America from the 1940s and into the 60s? Was it Esquire shoe polish, Kiwi, or Sapphire Medaille d'Or? Yeah, I know I butchered that. Doesn't matter. It's Esquire shoe polish. American poet Elizabeth Bishop went to which college? Did she go to Yale, Smith, or Vassar? Elizabeth Bishop, the poet, went to Vassar College. Route 66 was dubbed the Mother Road. Is that true or is that false? Well, that's true. Nat King Cole started his career as was he a jazz pianist, a saxophonist, or was he a dancer? Nat King Cole was a jazz pianist. What is kinescope? Is it a camera company? Is it a recording of a TV program on film stock? Or was it the first widescreen filming? Kinescope, a recording of a TV program on film stock. In 1946, Frankie Lane dusted off a 15-year-old song that few people remembered that was called That's My Desire, Minnie the Moocher, or Dream a Little Dream of Me. Excuse me. That was That's My Desire. The Wheelhorse Company, which sold ride-on lawnmowers, had sales as high as $4.5 million in 1959. Is that true or is that false? That's true. Shirley Temple was called America's. Was she America's sugar plum? Was she America's darling? Or was she America's sweetheart? She was America's sweetheart. Elcourt Sunfish Sailboat appeared in 1952 as the next generation of their sailfish. Is that true or is that false? That's true. Claudiu Barodo Nicto came from which show? Space Patrol, The Day the Earth Stood Still, or Star Trek? Claudiu Barodo Nicto, the Day the Earth Stood Still. Shaboom, Life Could Be a Dream, was a top 10 hit for both the Chords and the Chiffons. Is that true or is that false? That's false. It was a top 10 hit for the Chords and the Crew Cuts. Light therapy with sunray lamps were popular in the 1940s. Is that true or is that false? And that is true. Who sang Ain't That a Kick in the Head? Jackie Gleason, Sammy Davis Jr., or Dean Martin? That was sung by Dean Martin. Who played Lassie in the pilot episode of the 1954 TV series? Pal, Lady, or Buddy? Lassie was played by Pal. The Dishmaster faucet held a built-in reservoir that held soap, which allowed the faucet to dispense soapy water. Is that true or false? That's true. And now question 100. What lollipop company was founded in 1958? Chupa Chups, Tootsie Pop, or Dum Dums? And in 1958, the lollipop company that was formed was Chupa Chups. And that's it. That's all I've got for you. That was 100 questions. Thanks for playing Quiz Time. Don't forget to drop your score in the comments section, please. And like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any quiz times when they come out. Thanks for playing. We'll see you in the next one.